Hi Homeworthy, I'm Amanda. This is my Los Angeles loft. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
So this is Kylo. He is an 11-week-old puppy. And that is Kipper. Come here. Kipper, come here. Okay, that's Kipper. And he is the same breed. They're both Border Collies, and he is 10 years old. Hi, I'm Amanda Gunawan, and I'm the founding principal of OWIU Design. It stands for Only Ways Up, and we are currently in my loft space in the Arts District. So I was born in Indonesia, and then I grew up in Singapore, and then I moved to Los Angeles about 11 years ago. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody about this, but I think that makes me a first-generation immigrant, and I just never thought to use that term. I came here with no family, no friends. I came for college, actually, and then I've stayed here ever since. I've wanted to do architecture pretty much my whole life, for as long as I can remember. I remember being in elementary school, and my teacher had asked us to write about our ambitions, and I was only 8 years old, and it was 8 or 10, that age, and I had been asked to read to the whole class, and I told everyone I wanted to be a real estate developer. And my teacher had to talk to my parents about it, during a parent-teacher meeting, where nobody in my class really knew what that was. But it just goes to show that I've wanted to be in architecture for quite a long time, for as long as I could remember. So this is the entryway. It's kind of one big long space. So we try our best to demarcate the spaces using furniture because there are no actual walls in this space. I'm gonna take you over here. So this is the Eames lounge chair. I absolutely wanted it in white and light wood. So yeah, obviously I'm a fan. It's very comfortable. I sit here with my laptop sometimes and just do work. It's one of my favorite spots, and sometimes, usually the light comes in the evening right there, and you get a very nice golden hour right here, and it's very magical. So this over here is a vintage lamp that I got for very, very cheap. I don't even remember, but it was very cheap, and it was a great find because people would ask me all the time where I got it, and I get to say it's one of a kind. So this is very special to me because this is a painting gifted to me on my birthday by my friend who is an artist. She's an Asian American artist. Her name is Fong Min Liao, and she is currently based in New York, and she is absolutely one of my closest friends, and so it's very special to me, and I love just how feminine it is, and I also love how sentimental this is to me, but also just seeing the growth of her artwork and knowing that I have one of the first few pieces of this. The space is, it's an open space, it's a loft, and it used to be very, very different. When I first bought it, it was, it looked like something out of the Jetsons. It was very postmodern. And we managed to add an extension as well, added to the mezzanine. So there is now more square footage upstairs. I love spaces that feel, obviously, that there's a lot to work with. I like that it feels like a blank canvas, and yet there's so much character to it. It's really just a long, big space, and you are just working with how to basically how to categorize and how to compartmentalize this space, such a big and open space, without building actual walls. So this is the living room area, and it's kind of just a big open space the way that I would want it. And I wanted to be very clean, and I wanted like to find a lighting that would light this place up, but at the same time kind of feel like an art installation. So I thought this one from Floss was perfect. And yeah, like I think we spent a lot of our time here. Like it's even nice to kind of just do work here and just hang out and watch TV. So when you have a big open space like this, I think furniture is pretty much the most important thing, and the way that you arrange it to compartmentalize the different spaces. I think that it was a big thing for me to not want to create any like walls or barriers, and I wanted the space to feel like one big open space. So it was like the challenge was to compartmentalize the space using furniture to indicate through arrangement as well as through just the composition of the entire space where what each space is pretty much. I fell in love with this building while I was actually going to school already, and I always admired this particular building, which is the Biscuit Lofts. It used to be an old biscuit factory, and they managed to preserve so much of it. And it actually kind of ties in back into the philosophy in which I run my firm as well. Like, we believe in progressive design, but when we say progressive design, I like to say it's about embracing the past, but also planning for the future. And what that means is that when we design things, it's like we find the middle ground between renovation and preservation. And so it's always not about tearing something down and just like rebuilding what you want with no context to the place at all, basically the settings. And yeah, so that's not what we believe in at all. And so I thought that this building did such a good job at preserving all of the old elements. And when I came in and saw this space, I totally fell in love with it because it had like the bones of like an old heritage preserved building. It had so much character. It was built so well. And I knew that I could come in and basically do what I wanted to do with it and intervene and do exactly what I believe in, which is find that middle ground between renovation and preservation. So we're gonna go to the dining area. So this is the designated dining area. I never like to have areas that are the centerpiece of an entire space, especially if I want it to feel very holistic. But if I had to pick one, then it would be this, because it's like perfectly framed by the mezzanine, by the staircase, and by the Akari lights, and how this thing is circular and right at the center. And it really, if anything, it feels like this space is the center point that kind of guides the composition and the arrangement of all the furniture in the rest of the space. So you will find a lot of these shelves all over the place. It's also because our architecture and design studio started a ceramics studio, and so we've just started making a lot of ceramics. But even from the beginning, I have had this hobby of collecting ceramics for my travels. But everything that you see here is made by our studio. And yeah, so that's kind of special to me, obviously. I also have a coffee table book obsession, and I have a ton of them, as you can clearly see. I like collecting all these little knickknacks because I would say you don't have to choose between aesthetics and like sentiment, but if I had to choose, I would choose sentiment. So it's a prototype chair, and so this is very experimental, and it's basically a chair that I designed for a conceptual competition, and it ended up gaining a lot of traction online. And because of that, Milan Design Week kind of got hold of it and invited us to exhibit, and that was when I quit my job and decided to pursue architecture on my own. So we're gonna go over to the kitchen area right now. The kitchen area is designed to host, obviously, which I like doing. I like the idea of like a large counter that you could like serve sushi out of, because sometimes we throw parties like that. And yeah, like I really just wanted a very big counter space. I wanted it to be very easy to host, and I wanted it to be clear and like clean and have a lot of natural light pouring in. We built everything pretty cheaply, if anything. Like, I mean, we single-handedly, like my firm and I at that time, before we even became a design build company, this was the space where we tested that out. So literally I was sanding all of this wood and putting it together with the rest of my team. So it's inexpensive in that way. So it's not like I can say that the stone is from somewhere special. So this is the guest area. I rarely have guests, like just being honest. And so I didn't want a room just dedicated to a guest room. But then I needed one. So I kind of came up with this structure that serves as like a platform. So over here is where the mattress would be. And if I do have a guest over, I just take that out and this becomes a bed immediately. But other than that, it's a really nice place to kind of just sit down and drink tea. This is also the only place that has a door that closes, and it's good for privacy, it's good for meetings, and yeah. All the ceramics that you see are made by my company. This over here is another version of the painting made by my friend, an artist, Fong Min Liao, again. And so she's one of my closest friends, and she gives me a painting every birthday. And she kind of varies her form slightly as well as the color each time. Like she goes through something, goes through like a phase in life. And so it's really interesting for me to receive this every birthday, and then it's like a different composition, it's a different color each time. So this was a piece that was made by one of our staff, I think, during a washi workshop that we had together. Can't remember who made this one, but yeah, like it was one of the best pieces. This is like a vintage Japanese print that my friend picked up from an antique store. So there are a lot of like little knickknacks here and there. As you can see, everything's kind of like sentimental. This is all like large storage spaces just to keep the entire place clean. Again, I can't stress enough the importance of storage. I would say I like things that, especially for a residential space, I really like spaces that feel like a sanctuary. And what that means is that I don't believe in things that like spark a lot of energy. So I like things that are neutral, because to me, that's what's sustainable. And I also like to, and I know this sounds very abstract, but I also like to leave a little bit of emptiness so that it leaves room for growth, so that the space can evolve with the person that's living in it. And so yeah, so it's not just built to last, but rather it's built to evolve, if that makes sense. So now we're gonna go upstairs to see the bedroom and the study area. So this is the upstairs mezzanine space. All of the wood that you're seeing is completely an extension of the space, like it didn't exist before. And we kind of built this out to have a little more space. So everything that I'm walking on at this moment is like it happened after the renovation. So obviously there are a ton of computers here, and it is a live workspace. So this is where we work. And I have a whole collection of like architecture books, because I think that's the best way to kind of get rid of any type of blocks, creative blocks that we might have. I firmly believe that. And yeah, so I have books from all over the place, architecture books from Japan, from everywhere. Some of them are even in Japanese, but they're still really nice to look at and very informative. So yeah, like we work out of here, and this over here is my bed. So I really like neutrals because it tends to be the closest color to nature, at least like majority of it, right? Like But if I were to incorporate colors, I would want to incorporate it into accents. I like the bedroom to be particularly serene. In doing that, I keep the palette, of course, very neutral, and because I believe that neutral it's very pleasing to the eye, and it has an effect on my mental health at least. And I kind of do that through the use of materials. So the material choices are always light wood, something gray like a concrete element, linens that are very soft. I like paper lanterns because there's like that illusion of like soft diffused light. So I like that a lot. So this is the master bathroom. What I really like about it was that I absolutely wanted a bathtub and a shower, and I wanted a large bathtub, but the space was not a space that would allow for this. And because of that, we had to really play around with the layout. And so as you can see, like this is an onsen bathtub, and it's really huge, and even the way that you access it is very different from how you would a normal bathtub. Like you would climb the steps here and kind of like sit down and like just put your legs over here. And there's also a shower, so you would basically shower in this giant bathtub. But it's great, and I love it, and it might be one of my favorite features of this loft as well. I think it's where you feel like the most, I guess, safe and content, like where you kind of want to, like for lack of a better word, come home to. Like where home to me is like where you, like after a tired day, that's where you want to go to.
Thanks for watching. For more home-worthy content, be sure to like and subscribe.